it's a really comfort just to even have a transportation highway bill. I've got a couple of things that really disappoint me. One is the PosiTrack system. Came in here in 1988, 86. There was an awful crash in Maryland after that. We started on PosiTrack then. It was in the last century, for goodness sake. And now you've just given them 3 more years. I don't, after the crashes we've had in the Northeast Corridor, it's really unsupportable to me we do that, particularly as we're starting to carry more and more of the Bracken oil, and it's a problem for us. That, and plus, in New York State, over the Erie Canal, we've got 100-year-old one-lane bridges that fire trucks can't even use. We've really, I know we're in this perpetual unauthorized war here. Well, about 15 years, is it? Somewhere there. Though we can't afford high-speed rail or anything like other people have. But safety issues, I think, are a whole other thing. And if we're allowing larger trucks on the road, if some of these amendments are pretty scary on roads that can't take it now. I don't mean to be cranky up here, but because I've wanted this done for a very long time. Peter, I know Peter and I have our own caucus. It's called the Cantankerous Caucus, with Slaughter and DeFazio and others too numerous to mention. But I heard that when I said I didn't mean to be cantankerous. I'm delighted that we have a bill. But we need to do so much more than perpetual war. We really need to take care of ourselves. We can't get our goods and services, those goods to where we need to go. Up where I live, we can't even get people where they need to go. And so we have a long way. So we got a 6-year bill here paid for the first 3. Is that, sum it up?
At the
That's
moment,
kind of euphemistic here, isn't it?
yes. At the moment, we're using the Senate pay-fors for approximately 3 years as a placeholder.
Right.
That may or may not be the final resolution. I mean,
You hope for something better?
I am.
I am too. We need to fund this thing for 6 years, and I think there's still hope out there for some sort of corporate tax reform, that repatriation,
Right.
stop these inversions, and a number of other
Absolutely.
issues out there.
I think that's very important, critically important. I'm glad you're thinking about those. Well, I certainly support whatever you can to build this infrastructure back up, because it's dangerous.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, literally, with this one fire truck situation, they have to go around many miles to just even get to the district that they're responsible for protecting, and can't do it. Right. It doesn't make sense to me that we don't prioritize more the safety. But I will say I'm very disappointed on the PosiTrack. I've been at it for decades now.
Madam Ranking Member, if I could, on positive train control, I have strongly supported the mandate to move. The problem is, as originally written, first off, there was a compromise in dealing with the Senate, and they moved the timeline back. I mean, it's an extraordinary effort. It's essentially it's a new technology. We have had some primitive train control on Amtrak for quite some time. This is a much more sophisticated technology. There have been in very difficult intersections dealing with the Federal Communications Commission, who has to approve every pole sighting, and the poles, there's tens of thousands of poles that have to be sited for this, for transmission. There have been other issues, and what we're doing here with the extension is we know now that we're on a path for it to happen. I will admit that among the railroads, some have put in more investment, more effort than others, but this will level the playing field. Everybody has to have a 3-year plan with measurable benchmarks, and they have to be completely mechanically, physically installed at the end of 3 years. Whether they will all be operable at that point is up to basically the Federal Railroad Administration, who puts them through a very extensive testing compatibility issue, because some people run their engines on other people's tracks, et cetera. So, but it's 3 years with measurable bench lines all along the way, benchmarks, and this is going to happen, and I think this is the best way we could move forward. If we just stuck with the current deadline, nobody would meet it except for part of Amtrak.
Well, this sure isn't the America we grew up in.
Yeah.
we took care of the country and moved it forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Gentleman from Georgia, Mr. Woodall.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.